أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد، اللهم صل، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين الغرر الميامين، سيما بقية الله في الأراضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين، سيدنا وإمام زماننا وصاحب نعمتنا وولي أمرنا مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن العسكري، فداه أرواح العالمين. Brothers and sisters, السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. To be prepared for the moment of truth, for when the time arrives where you need to make a stand, prove your worth, and bring to fruition the many decades, the years, the sleepless nights, all the time that you have invested in your own self, in your personal development, in your relationship with your Lord and Creator. All of that is only the prelude to something else. All the times you have stood before your Lord and prayed, or observed the fast, or offered a good deed, or did something of value morally and ethically, all those things are steps that you're taking toward a final destination. A time when these spiritual exercises will have to be put to the test. And it's that test that we talked about last night. The test for which Ummul Baneen was well prepared. The test for which Ummul Baneen raised her children. If you think about it, isn't it amazing that the likes of Abil Fadl al-Abbas was born and raised so that he could prove himself in those few finite hours on the afternoon of the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, 61. That entire process, that journey from the time when his father decided to marry his mother and the many years that came and went was all focused on that one day and those limited number of hours where Abbas would answer the call of his Imam, go to the river Euphrates, extend and reach down in order to take a handful of water only to then throw it back into the river. His entire life was an exercise in self-discipline. His entire life was an attempt to produce that legacy, that one moment where without a shred of hesitation, he threw those precious droplets of water back into the river and went back telling himself, يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده ما كنت أو تكوني أتشربين بارد المعين هذا حسين وارد المنون. Do you want to drink water when Hussein is thirsty? You know, if I may make a point which I hope you'll be able to digest and ponder over. Some have suggested that every single one of the martyrs in Karbala, when they tasted their death, when they passed from this world into the next, they were of course offered the eternal cup of the Holy Messenger of Allah, Nabiyyur Rahmah, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And no example is more famous than that of Ali al-Akbar, who cried out, Aba alayka minni salam, hadha jaddi Rasulullah, qad saqani bi ka'sihi al-awfa, alladhi la adma'u ba'dahu abada, wa innahu yaqul anna laka ka'san madkhura. He gave glad tidings to his father, who was anxious and worried and distressed and upset that his son was thirsty and he had no access to water. So he's telling his father, Father, you don't have to worry about me any longer, because I have just had my thirst quenched by Rasulullah offering that eternal cup of his. So they all were quenched, their thirst dissipated upon dying, except Abbas. Some have suggested that perhaps Abbas, even after dying, didn't taste the water. Even after dying was still thirsty, because he had vowed and made a commitment that he wouldn't taste the water until Hussein did. And so even then he had to wait for Imam al-Hussein to arrive. Brothers and sisters, that whole journey was focused on that moment, for which you and I now recognize Abbas, for which the entire world now recognizes and adores and idolizes Abbas. Ummul Baneen played a big role in that. I mentioned the example of Al-Uryan ibn al-Haytham, a story narrated in Tabaqat ibn Sa'd, a man from Bani Asad who actively anticipated the battle of Karbala, prepared for that ultimate showdown between evil and good, and in doing so became one of the eternal, immortal martyrs of Karbala. I mentioned that example, and then again there are others. On the other side of the argument, there are those who, like most of us, they would like to be in a position where they can prove themselves and make a stand for the sake of the truth, but they keep their options open. They say, well, now's not the time. I still have a lot more going for me in this life. I can still enjoy myself. There will be a day, there will be a time when I will repent. There will be a moment for me where I can focus on the afterlife instead of this one. And that doesn't necessarily make people of that caliber evil, but the problem is they'll miss the boat, right? Have you ever found yourself in a train station where you've been waiting for the train for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then 5 seconds of distraction, you get a last minute phone call, you get someone texting you, somebody calls your name, 5 seconds of distraction, and you miss the train. It literally happened to me a few weeks back. I've been waiting for the train for half an hour and then I missed it. And when you miss it, it's never coming back. That moment can never be seized again. It's gone forever. It's about missing out on something truly special. Missing out on being among the companions of Imam al-Hussein. I'll give you the example of Al-Rimmah ibn Adi al-Ta'i, a man who was undoubtedly one of the proponents and partisans and followers of Imam al-Hussein and the Ahlul Bayt. He encounters Imam al-Hussein as he was leaving Kufa. The Imam is headed towards Kufa. Along the way, their paths cross. The Imam says to him, I am going toward this destination. Would you like to join me? He said to the Imam, I would very much like to join you, but I've bought for my family food and other things that they would need for the coming season. And I'm on my way to my home in Yemen. And all I'm going to do is ask your permission to go and drop these things off and come back. Then he said to the Imam, he gave him a very good suggestion. He said to the Imam, why don't you join me? Why don't you come with me to Yemen? I can promise to offer 20,000 armed troops who would stand by you and defend you. 20,000 from my own tribe alone. The Imam said to him, I am not going to Yemen. My path has been carved for me. But as for you going and coming, I'm afraid you won't make it. By the time he went back to his home, came back and arrived on the scene in Karbala, the catastrophe had already taken place. And they were calling out, لَقَدْ قَتَلْنَا الْحُسَيْنِ. It's about missing the train, brothers and sisters. Sometimes when we give in to our desires, even a passing pleasure, something that's in the gray area, something that is wrong, but at the same time we feel like it's not big enough of a deal for us to actually care and to make a stand. When that happens, you should know that what you're doing is that you're passing down some incredible opportunities. So listen to what the Quran says. هل ينظرون in Surah Al-An'am, هل ينظرون إلا أن تأتيهم الملائكة أو يأتي ربك. There will be a day when the angels shall come, or your Lord will come. أو يأتي بعض آيات ربك يوم يأتي بعض آيات ربك لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا قل انتظروا إنا منتظرون. When the moment comes, when the showdown happens, when it's your time to shine, if you've been distracted, you'll miss out. The Quran says that when signs of your Lord will come. What are the signs of your Lord? It is the Imam of our time, the 12th Imam, Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan al-Mahdi, arwahuna lahu al-fida. When he comes, if your faith in him, your belief in him at that moment, the Quran says, will not be of benefit to you unless you had believed in him prior to that moment, and unless you had done good righteous deeds in order to seek nearness to him. It'll be too late for you to join his caravan when he's already returned. You'll have to take active steps in order to seek nearness to him, in order to please him and prepare yourself, those spiritual exercises that we've been talking about, so that you can seize the opportunity when it arrives. Listen to this hadith. عن الصادق عليه السلام أنه قال إن لنا دولة تجيء إذا شاء الله. We will have our chance. Our government, our authority, our Imam shall arrive whenever God chooses for it to occur. Then he says, من سره أن يكون من أصحابه عليه السلام. And he mentions the Imam's special name. He says, whoever wishes to be among his companions, what do you do? من سره أن يكون من أصحابه عجل الله تعالى فرجه فلينتظر وليعمل بالورع ومحاسن الأخلاق. 3 things you need to do. Number 1, anticipate, wait, meaning get ready. Get ready. Don't pass out on any opportunity. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do this and repent. Be ready, number 1. فَلْيَنْتَظِرْ وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ. Avoid any and all sins, even those supposedly small ones. وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ وَمَحَاسِنِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. And try to be the best person you can be. Try and present yourself as the most ethical and moral person in your community. فَإِنْ وَهُوَ مُنْتَظِرْ. While you anticipate and wait, فَإِنْ مَاتَ وَقَامَ الْإِمَامِ سَلَامُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. And if you happen to die, if your time comes and the Imam has yet to appear, what happens? كَانَ لَهُ مِنَ الْأَجْرِ مِثْلُ أَجْرِ مَنْ أَدْرَكَهُ. You will have the same reward as those who have been waiting for the Imam. فَجِدُّوا وَانْتَظِرُوا هَنِيئًا لَكُمْ أَيَّتُهَا الْعِصَابَةُ الْمَرْحُومَةُ. Work hard, prepare as best as you can. Then the Imam makes a prayer, and it's all worth it with the answering of this prayer, the Imam says, Hani'an lakum, glad tidings to you. May God bless you, O group or community that has received God's mercy. Ayyatuha al-isabatul marhuma. Someone comes to visit the Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says to him, the Imam, he says to him, you know people who will come at the end of days, in the latter days, people in this day and age, their reward is 25 times those who are living in our day and age, meaning that of the Imam. So the man says to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, is that even fair? Why? We still suffer, we still go through trials and tribulations. Why is it that those living in the year 2019 or 2020 or what have you have 25 times the reward of those who are living in the time of the Imams? So the Imam explained to him with a parable, with an example. He says to him, which is better? Sadaqatul sirr am sadaqatul alan? Is charity you give in public better or charity you give in secret? In tubdu sadaqat fa ni'amma hiya wa in tukhfuha wa tu'tuha al-fuqara fa huwa khayrun lakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you reveal a charity, that's great, but if you give it in secret to those who are poor, then that is much better for you. The reward is in fact multiplied by 25 times, the Imam says. Those who live in the end of times are like those who give charity in secret. Brothers and sisters, I will finish on this note. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas had all the great virtues that we alluded to last night. He was a paragon of the greatest virtues known to mankind, a true reflection of perfection. One of those was the fact that he was the moon of the Hashemites. His beauty, his physical beauty was uncomparable to any other, unparalleled. So much so that he received the title of being the moon. And after his martyrdom, he became like the moon that was in an eclipse. And yet that beauty was not squandered and wasted on the obsession that people now have in terms of getting likes and retweets and validation on social media. You find that people who have a little bit of physical attraction, all of a sudden they become Instagrammers and they become YouTubers and they become people who flaunt their beauty so that they become what they call influencers. The more attractive, the more beautiful they are, the more people will flock towards them and be gravitated towards them so that they end up having more followers, and by having more followers they end up becoming influencers in the sense that they can showcase products and they can advertise and promote certain things and in the process end up generating more sales. But at what cost? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas's beauty was unparalleled, and yet what was it spent on? It was spent on his service to the Imam of his time. Every last inch of his body was wounded and was deformed, because that beauty is worth nothing unless it's offered in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The poet says, قَدْ رَامَ يَلْثِمُهُ فَلَمْ يَرَ مَوْضِعًا لَمْ يُدْمِهِ حَرُّ السِّلَاحِ فَيُلْثَمُ. Imam al-Hussein came to kiss him. There was no spot that was spared from the stab wounds that the Imam could kiss. The Prophet says to Abu Dhar in his lengthy hadith, beautiful hadith which you should try and read through at the very least. He says to him, Ya Aba Dhar, ma min shabbin yad'u lillahi ad-dunya wa lahwaha. If a young person abandons this petty world as well as the entertainment that's in it, that goes against our morals and ethical values, if it doesn't, it's perfectly fine. But if a young man or woman abandons illicit, sinful activities in this world, here's what happens. وَأَهْرَمَ شَبَابَهُ فِي طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ, and spends his youth in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِلَّا أَعْطَاهُ اللَّهُ أَجْرَ 72 صَدِّيقًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them the reward of 72 of the most truthful ones, prophets of God, apostles of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Baneen, brothers and sisters, was one who dedicated her youth, her life, every waking moment of her blessed life in the service of the Imam of her time. Baneen recognized that the purpose of our existence is to serve the Ahlul Bayt, to show them love and compassion. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us over and over in the Holy Quran. So that at the very end, she says what? When she's told that her children have all died, her children have been massacred and killed and dismembered on the plains of Karbala, she declares famously, she says, إن أولادي وجميع من تحت السماء فداء لأبي عبد الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. May Allah grant us the backing and blessing to prepare ourselves for the return of our Imam and the service of our masters. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.